Hey there guys, I'm back to another video. Today I'm here doing a pickups video. I haven't done one of these in a while and I've been buying a lot of Game Boy Advance games recently, so I might as well show you guys what I've been picking up. I've been meaning to do an updated Game Boy collection video because I think the last one I did was when I literally first started the channel. So now that I'm into Game Boy Advance collecting more, I want to sort of show you guys what I've been picking up and sort of what you can expect for the updated collection video whenever I get around to it later this year. But first, I sort of just want to talk about why I'm collecting Game Boy Advance games in 2024. So if you want to skip to this point of the video to skip this little intro blurb I'm gonna do, feel free. I'm not offended. I really don't care. But yeah, I mean, it really all started when the sad passing of Akira Toriyama happened, and I was just like sort of being nostalgic about my childhood and thinking about like what I grew up with, which was the Game Boy Advance. And this is still my original one. This is the one that me and my brother shared and sort of played a lot, and it still works, still functions fine. Oh, the volume was down. That is embarrassing, but yeah, it still works beautifully. I don't know if this is the AGS 101 or anything like that, because my brother, he peeled the stickers off when we were younger, but it is what it is. You know, this one I'm never going to get rid of no matter what happens to it, whether it stops functioning or whatever. I'll just buy a new one, you know. But so I just started thinking about like, you know, my upbringing and sort of what games I played when I was younger. And a lot of these games I didn't have when I was growing up. There is one game in particular that I did play, but I didn't necessarily own it. And I'm still on the lookout for several Game Boy Advance games that I unfortunately traded in when I was younger. For whatever reason, I was just like, I don't want these games anymore. Or I just accidentally traded them in. That is the case with one of the Dragon Ball Z games, which is Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors. I still am on the lookout for a copy of that. It's not that expensive. It's just that I haven't, pulled the trigger on it on eBay or anything like that. But let's just go into the pickups. I actually have the prices in front of me on this little sticky note. I wrote down exactly everything that I paid for here in terms of the lots, because everything I bought here was from eBay. So the first game I got here is the game that I have some nostalgia with, but I never actually owned the game. I played it at a party when I was at Taekwondo. They did like these holiday parties, and someone brought their original fat DS, and they had Spider-Man 2 on the Nintendo DS here, and I got this for $16, and the best part was they were selling it with the Game Boy Advance copy. So I got it for $8 in total, for each game, I should say. And that's pretty cool. I mean, you know, I get a complete in-box DS game, and I also get a Game Boy Advance game, which, you know, they're cardboard boxes. I'm not exactly on the hunt for complete in-box games unless it's a game that I'm really, really nostalgic for. But I did play a little bit of the DS game, actually, and sort of got stuck on it. I'm not going to lie. I was stuck on the first level for like an hour or so. So, yeah, I mean, I just miss this era of gaming where you would have, obviously, the movie tie-in games are like a huge thing back then, but on top of that, you would get a console version and a handheld version, which you'll see plenty of within my other pickups here, where it's like, oh, you know, like this game came out on console, but you know what? Here's like a smaller, lesser version on the DS, Game Boy Advance, etc. So, got that first pickup, $16. Next lot I got here, I paid for $20 in total after shipping, and all of these totals include the shipping costs, just so you guys know that I'm actually being accurate with these prices. But $20 in total for 3 Game Boy Advance games. So I got the one that I really wanted here, which was Crash Bandicoot: The Huge Adventure. And then we got Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness. This was a N64 and PS1 game, I believe. They released one on the Game Boy Advance. Then the sort of throwaway game here, which is Scooby-Doo Cyber Chase and Scooby-Doo Mystery Mayhem. So really, I just wanted Crash Bandicoot. But you know what? For $20, I might as well get Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness as well, which I think is maybe slightly above average of what this game goes for. And then, you know what, for free, I got the Scooby-Doo game. So I've played, I think, 2 hours of the Crash Bandicoot game. It's actually not that bad. It's pretty much what you would expect from a Game Boy Advance Crash Bandicoot game. It controls like Crash, looks like Crash, feels like Crash to a certain extent. But with the downsides of it is that it's on the Game Boy Advance. So there's like screen crunch. There's a lot of stuff that you're not going to see ahead of you, above you, below you, all this other stuff. So, and I know that they made 2 other Crash Bandicoot games, which I'm still on the lookout for, which hopefully I'll be able to find before the end of this year. Next lot I got here, I sort of impulse purchased this one. This is a bunch of Star Wars games, and I was watching Retro Rebound. If you guys don't know that channel, he pretty much does like a retrospective look back on like certain games, and he did one on a bunch of Star Wars games, mainly on like the handheld ones, I think on the DS. I don't think he really touched on the Game Boy Advance games, but these are all Game Boy Advance games. So first up I got here is Star Wars Trilogy, Apprentice of the Force. The next one I got here is Lego Star Wars. This was a big game for me on the PlayStation 2, and I haven't popped it in yet to see exactly what the Game Boy Advance version has to offer, but very interesting. Another game that was huge in terms of my PS2 days was Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. If you can find a copy of this on the PlayStation 2, I don't know how much it goes for these days, but that was like a really, really good game. In terms of like a movie tie-in game and just like an overall video game in general, I thought that it was pretty cool. Granted, I haven't played it in like over a decade, but from what I remember of it, it was pretty good. Then the last one we got here is Star Wars, The New Droid Army. So yeah, I mean, 32 bucks, $8 each. You know what? Not bad, not terrible. I think that's pretty much average of what these games go for. Mainly, I wanted to see what these two games had to offer with the Episode 3 and Lego Star Wars. So the fact that I got two more games here as well. Next game I got here is another impulse purchase. It sort of was just like, this is like the cheapest copy that I see on eBay. And I don't know how rare this game actually is, but I remember watching the movie and also the TV show when I was younger, and I had no idea they came out with the Game Boy Advance game. And it is Ozzy and Drix. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But yeah, I mean, if you grew up around the 2000s, early 2000s in particular, you probably recognize these characters. And yeah, I had no idea that they made a Game Boy Advance game. You look on eBay now, there's copies of it loose for like 30 bucks. Complete in box is like a couple $100. Like, it is crazy sort of like what the prices of this game are. And I kind of just bought it just because of the sheer fact that like I kind of want a Ozzy and Drix game. Like, that just sounds like pretty cool. The game itself, it doesn't run the best. It definitely has a lot of problems with it, but you know what? I bought it for the sort of like collector thing, if you will, and I only paid $16 for it, which, like I said, that is the lowest I see on eBay, and I'm not sure if this is ever going to be like a hidden gem kind of game. Probably not, because the game is actually terrible, but I'm sure to those collectors that are trying to complete their Game Boy Advance collection, years down the road, this is going to be one of the games that might be harder to find. Last lot I got here, I got 5 games here, and I only paid $23. So I paid less than $5 each, around like $4.60. There were 2 games in here that I really, really wanted just because I played their console versions and they were very, very good, and I had no idea that they came out on the Game Boy Advance. And those 2 games are Pac-Man World 1 and Pac-Man World 2. So these 2 games, I love Pac-Man World 2 especially on the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox. This game is one of the best 3D platformers of all time. I think I played a little bit of, it was either the first one or the second one on my Game Boy Advance. I think I popped it in for like a few seconds. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just like a 2D platformer featuring Pac-Man. It's fine. I definitely want to take a deeper dive into these games and just like the overall series in general in the future for my channel, but we'll see. If I have the time and sort of the motivation to actually make that kind of video. But yeah, Pac-Man World 1 and 2 is part of this side. And then the 3 other games, kind of just filler games. The only one here that I would say is not necessarily a filler game is Namco Museum. I believe they released a bunch of these on the Game Boy Advance. But yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what games are on here, but obviously Namco games probably like Pac-Man, Galaga, all that other stuff. Then the other 2 games here are Super Bomb Pit, something like that, Multipede. I'll put the title on your screen right now because all of these logos I can't really read. And then you got a bunch of board games with Life, Yahtzee, and Payday. So 23 bucks for all of that. I mean, it's not that bad, especially since because if I were to buy these 3 games alone, Namco Museum and the Pac-Man Duology, it probably would be around like 25 bucks. So, you know, we're getting 2 extra games, even though if they're not exactly the best ones out there, I'm fine with that. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all of the Game Boy collecting that I've been doing recently. I definitely would have bought more if I didn't stop myself and sort of control myself in terms of what games I would be buying. But yeah, I'm definitely reinvigorated to look into more Game Boy Advance stuff, and hopefully I'll have a collection video out before the end of the year. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys want more videos like this, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I upload new videos on Saturdays. If you want to check me out on social media, I'm at TV Sonic Gaming on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everything. And you can check out my podcast called the Travis and Damien Podcast. You talk about games, movies, and anime every other week. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video once again. I'll see you guys next time with more videos.